Namaste. Welcome, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Sadhana, and it's lovely to have you here. Today, I'm going to do a full walkthrough of I Am the Artist Tarot by Monicka Sakki. And I just thought I'd read a little bit from one of the little handouts that comes inside the box. I Am the Artist is about more than recognizing and owning your artistry. It's also about taking responsibility for your full creative powers, for creating your reality. The Saki Saki Tarot for the Artist in Each of Us, which is the inaugural deck published in 2004, now out of print, was focused on awakening the creative spirit and inviting it to play. I Am the Artist Tarot puts that creative spirit at center stage. Being on stage allows us to be seen and create change. This new publication encourages and enables you to honor your roots, evolve, and create a space for healing. It's not a remake or a second edition, it's a reincarnation with an elevated message and purpose. What you create creates you and the world around you. Following the walkthrough of the deck, I will go through all the little bits and bobs that came inside this lovely hardcover two-part box, as well as take a little bit of time to go through the extensive guidebook. I was immediately attracted to this deck when I saw it on another content creator's channel, and just really intrigued with the colors, the perspective, the use of symbols. And I thought, I don't have a deck that is quite like this. And so I decided to purchase it. And upon beginning to read the extra guidebook, I was really impressed with the approach of the artist to this deck. Love this High Priestess card. This is a deck that is full of color. And if you work with color, if you feel the energy of color, I think this is a deck that could take you to really profound places in your readings, to connect colors among cards. And I know that many of you do that already, but in a different sort of way. The color palette of this deck, I didn't fan it out. Um, it has a particular tone to it. Feels kind of hippie vibe. Um, it's a wild deck, and it feels inspiring and playful. And if I were to compare it in concept, I would say it's similar to the Muse Tarot, and yet it's not. It's very bizarre, wacky, wonderful. Almost a three-dimensional sense here in the way these dragons sit atop chariot, the chariot and the charioteer. And there's a real blending of, I love the glasses here, the 3D glasses. What I was going to say is there's a blending of decades, a blending of generational energy. Sometimes I feel like I'm walking in the past, and other times I could be just as easily in the future. I think because of the use of symbols in this card, it's going to be easy to wander between the cards, to have little things float from one to the other. One object becoming another and another card. You might find new connections to cards that you didn't deeply connect with before. You might find yourself questioning changes because it's certainly not a uh, traditional deck by any means. And though it appears to be inspired by the Smith Waite Tarot, it certainly has its own thing going on. This is a really interesting couple of cards here. The way that the Hanged Man looks so similar to the Devil. And perhaps non traditional colors in many of these cards as well. And I'm just thinking of the use of blue in the Tower card. Hmm. And I think that some people may find themselves in India. Others might be looking at, I don't know, replicas of the Eiffel Tower. And what an interesting angel card. Dancing through a time of powerful transformation. I think this deck also would appeal to those who prefer decks with more diversity, gender neutrality. And though this is a deck that is based on symbology, I'm not picking up on any traditional use of color in that regard. I mean, I do see a little bit of the orange for the suit of wands. Maybe the pink is meant to represent Venus, though I think green is a more traditional Venusian color. So you, I think you will be stretched if you have any fixed associations with some of these cards. I have a feeling that this is a deck that you will need to work with a lot to discover what is going on. And then at the same time, though, we also have 8 wands straight up and down, very traditional in that sense, and 1 wand slightly leaning to the right. Shifts in perspective. I don't have the Sakki Sakki Tarot, so I can't compare it to the first deck. And I have a feeling this is the one that needed to come to me. And the vividness, the intensity of the color on the box is quite deceiving because the deck feels quite soft in its color palette. Not many of the cards are saturated in intensity as this Five of Cups is. I feel that the guidebook is an invitation to exploring symbology at many, many levels. I feel that it's going to challenge conventional interpretations, and if you work with a deck such as the Crowley Thoth Tarot, you will find places where this deck really does do its own thing. It's almost like we have pens in the back. Oh, pens and pencils. What happens when we're not grounded, when our mind is detached from the floor, from the body? For those of you that have the Saki Saki Tarot and maybe have also acquired this one, I'd be really curious to know how you feel about the evolution, the growth from one deck to the next. I know the creator talks about there were a lot of detached heads in the first deck, and in this deck we are looking at heads attached to bodies, almost as if that was part of the growth of the creator herself. So kind of unusual to see a Queen of Swords in full facing, not just one side of the face. You know, it's funny, I've pulled out two decks to do a side-by-side. I promised a side-by-side of the Albano weight and the Groovy weight. And I'm thinking this would be actually kind of a fun deck to look at with the Groovy as well. It is nice to have different perspective, you know, looking at scenes from different angles. No apparent human in the Seven of Pentacles. Interesting. This looks more like a 10 of Cups than a 10 of Pentacles. But it's not. This is Mercury in Virgo. And one of the things that will take me some time is the description of the court cards really threw me off in the Not So Little White Book. The elemental associations or something like that. I was like, whoa. Or no, it was the astrological associations. So queens would be cardinal in Golden Dawn association, and the cardinal, mutable, fixed was all over the place when I read in the guidebook. So that's something I will share with you in a second. All right, in the box, there is a title card that has the symbols for the planets and the zodiac signs. there is an unknown card, which is described in the book after the world card. And then there are several cards that you could use as significators or you could put right into the deck. One is the artist, empty stage, the visionary. So have a look at the eyes on all of these cards. So the visionary's eyes are 3D eyes are closed, third eye is open. The observer, eyes wide open, and the inner muse has glasses on. And there are, I believe, 2 of these little pamphlets that come with the book as well, too. This one you could use as placeholder for a chakra spread. And then other colors and suggestions about what other colors might mean. And this is something that the creator has spent a great deal of time reflecting on and studying and discusses at length in the guidebook. And here's the other little pamphlet that comes in the box. A couple of QR codes on here to go a little further into the deck, further connect with the artist. And here is an image of the artist, Monicka Clio Sakki. What are the first 3 things you see? I've been carrying this guidebook around for some time. I was very interested in some of the preliminary thoughts of the creator, and the background story of the deck, I think, is really admirable. The idea that we create, we are in this world through our creations, how important play and creativity are. Who is an artist anyway? An artist must create and can't stop. Every artist I know will not give up their creative endeavors. It's bigger than them. They must create poetry, pottery, painting, music, programs, recipes, innovative ideas. They will never stop. This doesn't necessarily mean they are an artist in the traditional sense. To create mindfully is to be an artist. How you dress, the words you choose when speaking with your boss, your colleague, your neighbor, how you explain life to your children. An artist has something to share. An artist needs a stage. It really is. It's a great read. I think it shows a great deal of thought went into this particular deck. And I believe these illustrations are from the first deck where there were a lot of disjointed bodies, and then in this deck the heads became attached. What has changed in this deck compared to the Sakki? There are 34 new characters, 33 cards of meaningful changes, 31 characters have colored skin, 19 cards have style changes, 9 cards hint at a new symbol system, 5 cards have complete design overhauls, 1 card is entirely new and may be my favorite card in the deck. And so here is an interview with the artist by Caroline Buckley. It's just a really lovely guidebook to read. The colors, the sensitive inks, and all kinds of considerations for. So here's the High Priestess card, and what went into putting this all together, or part of it anyway. And so you can see in each of these cards, there is a reflection really on what went into putting that card together: philosophical foundation, symbols, and the artist. And then she gets into the systems. So the tree of life, the astrological symbols, the Hebrew letters. And I think that this is very personal because some of the symbols may not be interpreted or used in the way that you are familiar with. A little bit on Jung here. In his essay, Chaos and the Psychological Symbolism of the Tarot, Schuler notes that the tarot is, in essence, no different from Rorschach tests, an accepted system for reading meaning into images and a means of revealing inner states. Like a response to a Rorschach test, our response to tarot symbolism is not a matter of reason or intellect. It comes from something someplace much deeper. So, Jungian psychology is discussed, Rorschach tests, the background of chakra colors and associations, tarot as a myth, big section on numbers, both for minors and majors. There are brief, I should say, descriptions of the astrology of the tarot as well. It's a great little section here on the number 4, the 4 planes of existence according to the Kabbalah, the 4 letters of the divine name in Hebrew, the 4 stages of existence. And this really threw me off here. Here, talking about kings as cardinal signs, queens as fixed signs, so that is somewhat reversed for me, pages as mutable, and knights as writing from one phase to another. So this is completely the creator's own thing. But it is a wonderful reference, and I think it's a bit of a dance of getting courageous and brave to begin to explore and study the tarot through a new layer that you may not have studied before. And for me, studying the Hebrew letters is something that is high up on my to-do list and wanting to dive a lot deeper into this. And maybe a deck like this will really begin to expand my curiosity and understanding. And of course, I'm going to refer to the Crowley Tarot. I'm going to go back and look through various websites that reference meaning and have discussions of each of the Hebrew letters. I will go back to drawing them, practicing them. But this is just amazing. I say that the first part of this guidebook, before it gets into the card meetings, is really the highlight, of this book. And what you get for each of the cards is a description of the painting, which is really nice because some of these paintings are rather odd. Personal reflections, so reflections from the creator, what it might mean in a meeting, what it might mean in a reading, and then other symbols listed below that. So these are majors. And then there's your one of the extra cards, the untitled one. And then for the minors, there is a single page with lots of information to go on. And if I go to the court cards, it doesn't talk about the confusion that I was picking up on in the first part of the book. It feels more familiar. And there's quite a bit of cut and paste in these descriptions as well, too. And then at the end of the book, there are more suggestions for playing with the symbols in the deck. So I would say this book is worthy of buying the deck just to have the book. All right, let's shuffle and do a quick reading. I have read with this deck and found it to be quite insightful. But what I'm going to do here is ask the deck what its strength or what its place in my tarot library is. And I feel that challenging the status quo is definitely going to be its, or one of its strengths for me, so that I get out of fixed meanings. And not that I'm stuck on fixed meanings, but when I've learned something and spent a lot of time studying astrological associations, to have a deck that tells me, oh no, it's different, I think that's good. That's really good for me. And then I draw a card that says, yeah, we're going to shake this up. We're going to have a bit of a party here. I hear the Beatles, Live and Let Die, in the background of this particular card. I have done a lot of reflecting on the Devil card, made a couple different videos, not just in card of the year readings, but before that, some years ago, I did an extensive video, and I think this is really an intriguing card. All right, so this deck is here to help me see things in a different way, to shake things up, to live and let die. That's the song I was thinking of. The sun. You know, it's funny, when I saw this card, I couldn't decide where in the world I was. Was I in Paris? Maybe I'm even on an amusement park ride in Disneyland. This almost looks like a Ferris wheel. Or was I in India? And I wonder if there are other cards as well that will take me to different places in the world. So 2 majors. I'm going to draw one more. Vibrancy, right? So really letting the tarot live and breathe and infuse new life, perhaps. I don't feel that my readings have become dull. Wow, okay, 3 of Swords. Breaking, I feel like breaking mirrors, breaking boundaries, growth through seeing things in a completely different way. If you think about the Three of Swords as expansion and growth of the mind, but in order to do that, we need to break things down. Wow. Okay. This is going to be fun. And I look forward to sharing more of I Am the Artist Tarot with you in future readings. Take good care. Namaste.